Okay, welcome back to the Pennsylvania and Berwind. I'm Wasted Tries, and this is another operating session. I believe we're at episode 16 on the Pennsylvania and Berwind, and I think we're more than halfway done with this operating session, ongoing operating session designed to be played over the course of a little bit less than 1 week, ideally 4 days, and each day has some tasks that have to be accomplished that day. But most of the tasks that we have to do are things that are going to be done during the course of a week. And as I said, I think overall we're making very rapid progress, maybe a little bit ahead of time to do it in 4 days. This is Tyler, and Tyler is taking 12 boxcars filled with general goods to Gloucester Brothers. And like a lot of things on this map, I have made a few operational mistakes here and there. So it turns out that Gloucester Brothers needs 10 boxcar loads of general goods, so that's how many we're going to drop off, which will leave us with 2 extra. And I think those 2 extra were supposed to go to Jake's Freight, but I think we also have another train coming onto the map right now, which has 2 extra general goods boxcars for Jake's Freight, so we don't know. I'm assuming that it actually does happen, that occasionally a load gets lost, gets misplaced on real railroads. I'm guessing it's very rare with computers, maybe back before it was a little bit more common, like maybe when this route is taking place in the early 1980s. And we are already pretty much at Gloucester Brothers. I think that's it right there. And yeah, the autopilot is programmed just to take him into Gloucester Brothers. So let's. Now, I think it is an unfortunate reality, an unfortunate fact of my playthrough style is that it is most natural for me to take a bird's eye view of everything, and unfortunately that is not very pretty to look at. You know, I really admire those people who are able to do those great screenshots and put together those rail fanning videos where you're down here at eye level, or a little bit higher than eye level, I guess. And this route does look fantastic at eye level. I'd say it looks much better at eye level than it does at the bird's eye view, just because of so many spline grasses that maybe don't look so great. And one of the interesting things that I hear is about the new trees system, the new plant factory system. And I just did a little bit of experimentation with some of the assets that are on the DLS now in the plant factory, using the plant factory method. Those assets are generally, ooh, wow, that was a tight turn. That's what you get when you're down at the eye level. Yeah, those plant factory assets, most of them look good, although several of them did not look good, and I'm not sure if that's because of some LOD issues or if those are just going to be fixed when the new patch comes out. By the time you're watching this, you may actually have that patch already. But generally speaking, you find those plant factory assets, and I think that they have a good chance of replacing some of the splines. I've also found some other better splines that I think are going to replace some of these ones that are on the PNB. Splines that have less of the shadow effect. The shadow effect or the bad lighting effect doesn't completely go away. Let's just stop the train. See, we're ringing the bell. Yeah, because this is going to be a little bit of a pain. So maybe these... I mentioned this in the last episode, I know, but I replaced the engine spec for the RS1s. But it seems that has not taken, maybe because I did not fully replace down these locomotives when I changed the engine spec. So yeah, they should be accelerated. They should be stopping and accelerating more aligned with what the RS3 does. For some reason, the engine spec that I had for these was extremely ridiculous. And initially I thought, oh, well, that's because somebody put a lot of effort into it and it's very realistic. but actually I don't think that's the case. When I opened up the file for the first time, I actually had a first chance to look and see what an engine spec actually contains. I realized that no, it was just wrong. So yeah, I'm going to be probably doing a little bit more work on the PNB once the new patch comes out, replacing a few of these grasses. Yeah, see this slowing down much more slowly than it ought to be. Okay, let's direct you on autopilot again to go there, because and I'm gonna look into that engine spec thing. Maybe before we come back to this task, we'll have another look at that. Amy is coming onto the route, and it looks like Amy is now fully onto the normal PNB main line, no longer in the sort of stretch flyover territory between the beginning of the map and Allegheny. So I don't think we're quite ready to jump over to Amy. Amy and Adair are going to be the main actors for our to-do list on, on the today on those all-important today tasks. But if you've been following this at all, you know that one of the things we've been working on very aggressively was this sand task. Jessica. And yeah, maybe this is consuming a little bit too much camera time, but on the other hand, I know that there are some of you who do enjoy shunting. Okay, we are back with Isla at the Highland Brewery. And we are ready to take off with these covered hoppers. And the covered hoppers, most of which have to go to Universal Sugar. Well, I should say almost half of them are empty. 11 of them need to go to Universal Sugar, and then one of them needs to go to the Shawnee Team Track. So yeah, we finished with the Highland Brewery for now, and probably a good idea to kind of clear out of here because we have another train coming in with some tank cars that are going to be going to the nearby Avery Suites. They share some tracks in this Highland area. It makes it a little complicated. So it's not going to be a good idea for us to hang out with one train occupying tracks that they really need to kind of share. And yes, one problem with when you're down here at this eye level is sometimes it's a little hard to see what the heck you're doing. Okay, now I think it's time for a little autopilot action. Get this guy coupled with cylindrical hopper 7. Now, maybe the issue is that this caboose is here. Is that possible? Well, I'm extremely relieved to see that there's no issue here. That we're doing our limestone loading with no problem. Now, I think I might convert this industry, at least the limestone part, to use open hoppers instead of covered hoppers. But let's just see how many we've got here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, we need 20 limestone. It would not be a bad thing if the autopilot could handle the MI2 processes a little bit better. It's not the fault of the MI2 there, but yeah. What? I just saw a message. It's the Cessna. The Cessna 172 Canada C FRMX Startup 1 has derailed due to excess speed. And Isla is waiting for track clearance. So yeah, I had noticed that the Cessna is always derailing, which is quite bizarre. And I'd made a lot of effort to realign the track, the airborne track, of course, to get that train to, or that Cessna to not derail. I thought maybe the corners were too high. Aha. So Isla, why don't you just couple first to this caboose? Caboose 1. AH Conrail Caboose 1. No, it's really struggling there. Poor Isla, given instructions that were impossible to perform. Now that we have this caboose, of course, we don't really want to couple straight away there. And let's make sure that we have enough track. Yes, okay, good. Kind of why we end up not using the autopilot that much, because of complex shunting maneuvers that need to be done. And here's another reason why we don't do these complex maneuvers, because now you're going way too far and way too fast, and you're not even slowing down. I fear the result of that would be inevitably driving off the end of the map. Now, Universal Sugar. Let's have a look by zooming out and find out where Universal Sugar is. So Universal Sugar is definitely going to carry us very much in the other direction from where we're currently heading. And I see that Adair is now approaching this area, so we might want to stay out of the way of Adair as well. I mentioned already that we have some cars coming through for the Avery Suites, but I don't think Adair has those cars. I think I can hear Adair is blowing the horn right now. And I see that Glosser Brothers is working on its projects, which is very nice. Let's continue on. I think we want to put all of the hoppers. Oh yeah, let's leave the caboose first. Leave the caboose way back here, so that we leave the road untangled. I think we're going to have plenty of space to assemble this train now. Sorry guys, got a nice cherry picker there. Get that road cleared off. All right. I love it when it works out. And you see the way that these speed trees, these STRMM bushes, are blowing. The plant factory shrubs, even the little grasses, they also blow. They blow in the wind. Not really necessary in my mind. I don't see that. I wish you could kind of like shut that off if it improved performance. I don't know if it does or not. And there we have Adair. I'm just going to click on Adair. And we've got Juniata distribution. A bunch of nuns, but they're all going to Juniata distribution. I just didn't tank them all. Then we have some potash going into the Shawnee Team Track. And finally, we have some Jake's Freight, I gather. And again, this is something where I may have made a mistake. And then finally, some fuel oil. But everything is going to go to Allegheny and get sorted out there. Now, Isla, would you couple with the caboose? That is my question. Conrail Caboose 1. Is there only one Conrail Caboose 1? There is only one Conrail Caboose 1. But, yeah, just gets confused. So, sorry about that. And would it be helped by putting down the asset again? Maybe the confusion is due to the assembling of all these parts of the route. Maybe that's what caused the duplication of certain numbers. I don't know. It's confusing. Pennsylvania Berwind number 218. RS-11 is definitely one of my favorite locomotives. Now, run around is usually a command that will work. Especially in a situation like this where we're clearly on the track and we have an adjacent track that needs to be run around. Okay, clear this coupling maneuver and do a run around. Jessica, you just need to do 2 more limestones and then we're not done here, but we can be done with the limestone. That's something. Yeah, one of those doors is still open. That's interesting. The direction of the train has changed for some reason. View details. Enable editing. Ah, the door closed on its own. That's good. It's good. It's also weird. It's good. I'll take inexplicable things that do what I want them to do over inexplicable things that do not do what I want and are permanently broken any day. Where's that actual switch here? It's a tight switch. Okay, now it should stop much more quickly, and it does. Thank you. And actually, let's do again the autopilot. Excellent. Track 1 west. West Yard, track 1 west. And it is interesting how the bell seems on this route to activate, but then there's not too many places where it actually deactivates. It's slightly odd. Now, almost all of these are going to Grafton or Highland. So the bulkhead flats are going to Grafton, and then these tank cars are going to Highland. So I think what Amy wants to do is very simple. Amy wants to just leave but we have some potash as well. The potash is that right? But first we want to get Amy into this track. And then I think the thing to do would be to switch out the gondolas no matter what. Do we have another locomotive handy here? Let's see. She ran over another. All right. So now I have to actually figure out which one of these switch engines is in service. Okay, none of them are in service. Excellent. But it is the Reading Line's one that's needs to go in a couple days, I think. So how about we have you drive to... So I believe that's Thomas. Thomas in the Erie-Lackawanna. And Thomas is slightly confused. Let's help him out with just a couple of switches. There's two different ways to go there. You're going that way. Well, there's at least two ways to go. At some level, there's infinite ways, but... yes, we have a few more locomotives here that could be put into service here. And a caboose. That could be useful as well. So now Jessica, having collected all the limestone that we actually need, can start in on the sand. Now we have 3, and I believe we need 10. How long is that track? That track is seemingly very long. It's a little bit of an upgrade here, 1%. It's enough to slow us down anyway. I dare say it's enough to sandbag us. Yeah, I do like to show the commodities while I'm doing this, just so I don't accidentally mess up and skip one car. Otherwise, I try to remember to hide the commodities as much as possible for viewing pleasure. Now, would it actually save time if I worked both tracks, which is my intention when I set it up? It depends on how long it takes to load these cars, though. Okay, let's pull Amy through now that the SW1500 is on the way. As you can see, the autopilot to couple there is not very successful. Now, I would tend to think that this would, all of these switches would be thrown by the junction derailment prevention rule, but let's just check. Okay, we have a straight shot. I could put that train on autopilot, but we're going to be in this area because I'm going to just couple over here. Yeah, it's a high speed limit through the yard, and you definitely feel more motion when you're in the cab. I think maybe it adds a little bit more interest to the playthrough. Unfortunately, you can't do switches in the cab, so that's really limits the playability. Okay, let's come over here. All right. I don't know. I don't know how many times I've ever done this in trains before. Okay, here we are. Coupled, I mean. Okay. Now. We need to go over to the steel mill. And I believe we were looking for steel rods. So that's outbound track 4. Allegheny. Trying to help that autopilot as much as I can. I maybe want to bring these Alco S2s over to the Allegheny steel mill just to help out, because that's going to end up probably being a fairly heavy train. Just a thought. Not something to worry about right now. The important thing is to get Amy on her way over to Highland. And before we do that, of course, we want to make sure that she doesn't run into Adair or Isla. But getting the caboose on is a first step, so we might as well do that first. First steps, we do them first. That's good. It's clever. I see there's traffic stopped there already, even though I assume... Wow. This train is incredibly far away. Look at that. Undoubtedly, that traffic will start moving. It will give up on the signal entirely. Yeah, I really dislike how the camera whips around when you actually click on the locomotive. It should be something that's optional. Okay, we could send her, but we need to first check where Adair... See, Adair is right there. Okay. Adair is right there, and Isla is not far behind. Ah. Okay, Jessica needs 6 more cars, and that's just a matter of backing up at this point. Might as well change the direction so it actually shows what I'm doing. Okay, Tyler just needs to keep backing up here, unfortunately. I'm tempted to try to go for 2. You know, it's sort of weird. It looks like it could almost reach that platform, but realistically, are we going to back up any further? No. Okay, Adair is now stuck, which is really mysterious. But I have a feeling that Adair is not going to be stuck for very long. And yes, it is a red block signal, but dispatcher is giving us clearance to pull ahead. And I think that does tend to happen with the autopilot when it enters a very large yard, perhaps. I'm just going to have him go straight. Well, not exactly straight, but almost straight. So we can take off these 2. We're going to take off the potash as well. No, the potash is going to the Shawnee team track. And these are not supposed to be paper. That should not be paper. That should be general goods. But we're definitely taking the tank cars. That's going to make a lot of sense. So if we can just get this train onto this siding, Adair onto this siding, and then Isla coming in behind, going down the main line, then we should be good to send our other train on to Highland and Grafton. How far away is Isla? Isla is still chugging along, if that's not exactly the apt expression. It has occurred to me a few times that it would be nice to kind of like just follow a single train as it moves around the map for a whole hour. That some people might enjoy that. But each time I think that, then I think, well, nothing will ever get done in that case. And there is no doubt that we can finish our loading of these covered hoppers this session. I think this track can actually load anywhere under the gantry chain. Anywhere under the gantry can load. And if for some reason that is not the case, it will become the case after some editing, because that's the way it should be. So these cars can get loaded there pretty quickly. Basically 2 train movements, I think. 2 or 3. Okay, you're moving a little too fast here. You want to just bring across that switch here. Then we can probably switch out the tank cars. Those seagull noises there in the background. Tell you what, I'm going to just order you to couple with caboose number 11. Okay. Gloucester Brothers needs 10, and we will have done 6. Are we going to worry about blocking that road this turn? I don't think we are going to worry about it. We're just going to have to live and accept it. Ah, yeah, see, now we got all this Allegheny steel coil is loading fine. See if we can actually throw this switch this time. That would be good. Junction 23557640. Most of the junctions I have actually named them. I think that's a fairly good practice. You might think it doesn't have any function, but it does, sort of, when you're driving a train and you see that you're approaching some junction. If it just has a number, then it doesn't tell you anything. I also like to number the signals, but I have not done that. On either of my 2 routes. Yeah, traffic is not the most realistic thing in trains, and I'm fine with that. It is not a huge priority. Definitely going to get this one lined up for 2 now. Good. Now, I said that Jessica needed 10 sand and that we would easily finish that this episode. Unfortunately, it seems that we actually need 12 sand. So, not quite. So this is 10. And unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. But as we load this exciting train of sand, I will bid you adieu and welcome you to come back next time for the Pennsylvania Berwind, and we'll pick up basically where we left off, but this task will finally be done, and we'll be handling some of those daily tasks, finishing off the Allegheny steel, and of course handling the fuel oil in the Allegheny refinery. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope you'll join me then. See you next time on the Pennsylvania Berwind.